Waitaha in the South Island. Waitaha is the name of that stream at just before Moeroa Whareana. And what's that Moeroa Whareana?
The cave.
Blowhole. Yeah. Some say it was an old blowhole from Wairano when probably thousands and thousands of years ago when the climate was different. Big events that caused the water to rise and fall. But so Miti got its name from an event that happened here. The name of the stream and the name of this valley is Taikaroa, and the name of this area, which is the term for our wider area, is Miti. So when I talked about our other tupuna, Tikanui and Wheru, who were part of the Te Aupōuri movement, their father's name was Nore Te Korohunga, and he was a tupuna from here, and he had a lot of control and ownership of the coastline. And there was once a whale that was stranded on the beach, and the whales that would strand, whether they were dead or alive, were one, if they were still alive, and a food source. But if they were dead and they were rotten or anything like that, they also had value with taonga, especially the jawbone of like a sperm whale with their big teeth and stuff. They were valued possessions. The jawbone itself for carving taonga. So they were to find or discover a whale washed on the shore was a big thing. Once upon a time, there was a whale that had become washed ashore. Some say it was just right up the heads around Whānui, and our tupuna Nore, he went and they took what they could from this whale, and unbeknown, or maybe it was known to them, that there used to be a tikanga. If you were the first person to find a whale and you wanted to lay claim to it, you would carve markings into the whale to say that this has already been found, because if you're out on your daily stroll and find a whale, you're not going to be able to carry it home by yourself. So you got to make some markings for the next fella. When they come up the beach, they know don't touch, that belongs, it's already been claimed by somebody else. Anyway, there was a bit of Nore claimed this whale, and his people, our people, they took the whale and whatever they wanted from it. The other people that had already laid claim to it, apparently they'd already marked it. They weren't happy, so from that started a battle pretty much. They came here to Taikaroa where they met our tupuna and his people here, and they had a big war, had a big battle. And as part of the battle, many people died, and this creek, as it flowed, was full of people who had died, and the sea out the front of the rocks was all red from the blood of all these people that died. From that, they got the name Taikaroa. Just refers to the running red of the tide at the time of the death of all these people. Our tupuna himself, he was killed on this rock, and once upon a time this rock would have been really tapu, but our people took away that tapu just so it would be safe for people to still be around this place. But this rock was where our tupuna was killed. What happened was everybody took part in eating, like the victorious warriors. They all took part in a feast of our tupuna on this rock. And those that didn't get an opportunity to take part in eating the flesh licked the blood off the rocks. So it was, that was, how would you describe it? It was, I suppose when you did that to a person, it was one way of absorbing their mana and all of that sort of thing. And they licked the rocks of the blood of our tupuna. The word miti in itself means to lick. Miti means to lick. So people jokingly call us lick out here because that's miti, but the actual korero behind miti is to do with the licking of the blood off this rock. And I remember when we were kids, they used to always say that all the red, there's a lot of red in and around the rocks, red staining, was the blood of our tupuna. But so when we were growing up, we'd play around and all that sort of thing. The rock itself is no longer has the tapu associated that it used to, but as a measure of respect, I still don't eat kai on this rock or anything like that. But this is the place where everyone comes, rides their bike, swims in the creek. So this rock has always got kids running around it. So our old people, way back in the day, lifted the tapu to make it safe for people to still do all that, well, recreational mahi these days. But so yeah, Miti Miti. One kōrero, I heard the name of the rock was Tāne Mitirangi, but also Tāne Mitirangi was one of the tūpuna with Nore at the time as well. So that's how Miti Miti gets its name. It was the story behind the whale that our tūpuna took, and as a consequence, a big battle with another hapu, and then eventually he, when they lost the battle, he was killed on this rock and eaten. And those that missed out on taking part in the kai had to lick the rock. They licked the blood off the rock. That's why Miti Miti got its name from licking the blood off this rock. There's another stream. There's another version to how Miti Miti got its name. It's a little bit of confusion. It's not actually how Miti Miti got its name, but there's a stream where we turn off to go back up the road. If you carry on past there, the next little stream that runs down below Auntie Kura's place and down between Paparangi Drive out onto the beach, that little puna, that stream, is called Miti Miti, and it comes from a puna up in the back of the maunga behind our place. Up the valley, there's a you can see the spring that sits on top of the hill, and it always feeds out. That place is called Miti Miti as well. That stream is called Miti Miti, I should say, and nothing to do with this kōrero here whatsoever. It's just the place where they say when our people die, we follow a spiritual pathway to Te Rerenga Wairua, Te Reinga, and back to Hawaii. And on their journey along our coastline, the other Wairua that runs along our coastline is the stream Miti Miti. That's where our spirits stop to lap the water up. I guess as sustenance for them as they continue their journey up to Te One Roa Tohe and up to the Cape. That's also called Miti Miti. They stop and lap up the water before they carry on their journey. And there's two streams that are associated with Te Ara Wairua, the spiritual journey. There's this one here at Miti Miti, and there's also one when we head towards the heads, the Hokianga heads, that no longer runs along the sand. But those of you that went on the Noho Taiao, you would have went up the sand dunes to that big lake. Yeah. So that big lake once was a stream that ran down through the sand dunes and out onto the beach. And we think that once the forestry was planted, it would have sucked some of the water out. Because we know pine trees take a lot of water away, and that as it probably sucked a lot of the water away, so did the dunes in front of it start to build up, and it caused a big blockage. So now it's quite a big lake, and that stream no longer runs. But there's wetlands below the sand dunes where that stream, because it's got to come out through the dunes. So down the bottom it's all wet, but it no longer runs out to the coast. But that place is called Waipuna. And that was another stream where our spirits on their journey to Waiki would stop, lap up the water there, continue along, and stop at Miti Miti and then continue their journey. And no doubt every other rohe probably have their own streams and kōrero, similar kōrero associated with our ara wairua and the journey that our spirits take when they head up to Hawaii. So that's the other kōrero associated with Miti Miti. So any pātai? So there's a little bit of kōrero there too. Next time you're out here and at the beach, you'll remember some of the stuff. You'll remember this is the rock. It's an easy rock. It's sort of a squarish big rock. Sometimes there's only just a little bit out of the sand because the sand shifts all the time. Sometimes this rock is nearly fully buried. Other times it's how it is now. So what's the name of this creek? Whakarawa. The tūpuna's name, anyone?
Nore.
That was killed in this Nore. So it's as far as I'm aware, it's called Tāne Mitirangi. Some say this rock is called Miti Miti itself. But Tāne Mitirangi was also one of the tūpunas, so maybe a bit of confusion on that's another korero when we talk about Moitangi, the stream at Moitangi. So yeah.